Okay, the Detroit Lions have been linked into a crazy trade, and it's not even by the Detroit Lions that they've been linked to this trade. It is actually by a player himself, which makes no sense, and he is one of the names that I talked about when I asked, hey, who would you want to go after? I said, this guy is the guy that I'd want to go after, and we have seen a report now that a guy by the name, you might recognize it, of Za'Darius Smith is saying that he would like to go play for the Detroit Lions. This is a player who is actively playing for another team, and he told a Cleveland Brown reporter that he would like that. So I'm going to get to exactly what he said in just a minute. But before we do that, let's go ahead and take a look at just why he might be saying things like this that make no sense. All right, he is playing in Cleveland. Cleveland is a dumpster fire right now. I think they're like 1-5. Their offense cannot move the ball. They have a good defense, but their offense can't move the ball at all. I don't even think they've scored 20 points yet, which is absolutely crazy to me. Yet, you have good players on that team. They just traded Amari Cooper, signifying that like maybe it's time to sell off some of these pieces. Za'Darius Smith could be the next one. Za'Darius Smith is 32 years of age. All right, he's 32 years old. He's 275 pounds. He's out of Kentucky, and you may recognize him because of his seasons that was played against us. His first 4 years, he was in Baltimore. We didn't see a lot of him. Then in 2019, he went to Green Bay. He played there for 3 years. I remember they signed Za'Darius Smith and Preston Smith, I think it was. I'm like, which one's which? I don't even know. All right, but Za'Darius Smith quickly became the best player. In 2019 and 2020, he had 16 and 13 sacks, respectively. That is impressive. All right, then in 2021, he got hurt. He only played 18 snaps. So he goes to Minnesota. And you're saying to yourself, all right, he's going to go to Minnesota. The dude is washed. He's no good anymore. He's coming off an injury. I don't have to worry about him in the division. And then he went off for another 10 sacks and actually records what is his best PFF graded season, his second best PFF graded season of his career. He spends 1 year in Minnesota. Then he goes to Cleveland. He goes to Cleveland for a year. It's like nobody thinks he can keep doing it. And he goes out, he gets 6 sacks, but he has 60 quarterback hurries in just 387 pass rush snaps, which by my math is like a 16, 17. I'm just doing it on the fly here. Percent pass rush rate, which is really, really good. Hutchinson, your elite players are going to be in that 20% range, which is really hard to keep. He was up there. So he went and he played well. Now, I know what you're thinking. Doesn't he have to be alongside a great pass rusher? In Minnesota, he was alongside a great pass rusher. In Cleveland, he's alongside a great pass rusher in Myles Garrett. And the answer is no. I mean, in Green Bay, there wasn't anybody opposite of him. He was the man, and he thrived in that situation. So this is the kind of player that we're looking at to replace a guy like Aidan Hutchinson. In fact, his PFF numbers are less, but he's a guy who can absolutely rush the passer. And while he can absolutely rush the passer, he also is not a liability. In fact, he's pretty good against the run as well. So let's get back and find out exactly what he said about going to Detroit, because quite frankly, this is remarkable to me. So here's what he said. I'll show it to you. He said, but if I was to go to Detroit, I would like that, because I get to play Green Bay twice a year and the Vikings twice a year, Smith told the Chronicle Telegram this week. So yeah, that'll be big. And he went on to say more. All right. He said even more, which is just nuts to me, because I'm just like, what is this guy talking about? Like, players that are playing with a team don't talk about being traded to another team. But here he is doing just that, where it says this. He later said, I'm staying positive. But now that you say that, talking about going to Detroit, there's some cats in the background. All right. But now that you say that, it might be a good look a good feel for me. In other words, what he's saying is, hey, Detroit, I want to come play for you. Hey, Detroit, I want a Super Bowl. Hey, Detroit, I can make a difference for your team. And if he was still playing for the Packers, if he was still playing for the Vikings, we would be like, nah, that's not going to work. You don't do interdivision trades. But he doesn't. He plays for this year what is a dumpster fire in Cleveland. Now, Dan Campbell has not been shy about this. He's saying we're not in a hurry. In fact, he said we're not in a hurry. He said, I believe the guys that are here. I believe in that D-line. Doesn't mean we are not looking. We're not evaluating. Of course they are. He said Brad is. He's doing that. That's his job, and he's good at it, and we'll take it as it comes. But our eyes are open, and we want to make sure that we have what we need here. In other words, what Dan Campbell is saying is like, look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the guys can't do it. I need to empower them. I need to give them the confidence that they know that they can do it. All right. That's why you sign guys like Aleem McNeil. The pass rush is just going to look different. It's going to look different. You're going to have to do more blitzing and things like that to get to the quarterback. But a guy like Za'Darius Smith, to me, is perfect. And when you ask me why a guy like Za'Darius Smith is perfect, it's because of his contract. All right, when you look at his contract, Cleveland did what Cleveland does, and they put in a ridiculous amount of voided years. All right, look at these cap hits. He signed a $23 million contract, but because of the one that was coming off his old one, because of the one now, all right, he has all these numbers sitting back here. The Lions don't have to pay all of that. All right? We don't get all the guaranteed money. So we'd be able to keep him next year with a lot of cheaper incentives. So this isn't just a, hey, we sign him and we get him this year. This is we get him next year really cheap. We get him next year really cheap. And that's the thing that's just crazy to me. It's like, all right, so, okay, we can have him cheap. So, yeah, maybe he cost a third-round pick. All right, that seems to be like what the going price would be. Even if it's a second, then they throw in like a fourth or something like that. Like, is it worth it to have a quality player? And then next year, as Hutch is recovering, as he comes back, you have a guy entrenched on the other side that's not injury-prone like a Davenport. The Davenport signing was a good idea on paper, and if he played healthy, he was exactly what this team needed. But he never stayed healthy, and he didn't do it for us either. So if we could bring in a guy that has a history of staying healthy, why not try that? All right, so as we finish this video, just a couple things. I left the door open, all right, here in the office, and the cats are here. I never leave the door open. Here they are. Like, you know the saying, right? Like, I wanted a dog, my wife wanted a cat. So we compromised, and we got 2 cats. All right, I'm allergic to cats. Can you hear it? All right, these cats. All right, I don't hate you, but you make me sneeze. All right, so anyways, thank you for watching. Za'Darius Smith, that would be the dream. That was the first name that I talked about. It wasn't the first. I wasn't Max Crosby, okay? It wasn't Hendrickson. It definitely wasn't the guy on the other side in Cleveland, Myles Garrett. It was talking about a guy like Za'Darius Smith, a guy that could come in and be good but not upset the apple cart, right? And still be good even next year, even though he just turned 32 years old. All right. Thanks for watching. What do you think? Is this a trade we should look at? I think it might be. All right. See you in the next one.